Hello, my name is Marisha Johnson. I'm currently enrolled in African American Literature, Section 5 for the fall of 2015. To my friends and family who haven't gotten the chance to enroll in an African American class, I would strongly advise you to. In the fall of 2015, I decided to enroll in an African American Literature class because of my father's influence and my own curiosity about my African roots. Not only did I learn about my heritage and where a lot of today's influence came from, but I also learned very detailed stories about what slaves endured during those times. In one of the excerpts, Incidents in the Life of a Slave Girl by Harriet Jacobs, a 21-year-old slave named Linda describes her experience hiding in her grandmother's small shed. She hid in the shed for 7 years in order to escape harsh treatments and being viciously raped by her master. Over the years, she would watch over her children from a tiny hole in the shed above the house. While living in the shed, Linda was tormented by little red insects, the heat from the sun, and sickness from the harsh living conditions. As I kept reading the story, it made me realize how unaware I was about what slaves actually went through. It's totally different from what you learn through elementary school, middle school, and high school. I would advise anyone to actually take the time and read about what slave stories and their thoughts on slavery. I remember reading a passage about how the slave master would impose Christianity upon slaves, making them think that God intended this to happen, and it was their fate. Reading these passages will change your perspective about the whole slave time period and have you think, wow, my people actually went through this. They were actually treated this way. It's saddening to actually know the history of what our people went through. Sometimes I believe we don't want to revisit history and find out the truth because it's so painful and we don't want to actually face the reality of it all. I plan to use the information I learned from my African American literature class by informing as many people as possible about the history of Black culture. I will identify key ideas, authors, significant historical or cultural events, and characteristic outlooks or attitudes expressed in the literature of different periods or regions. I want to explain literary works as expressions of individual values within the social, political, cultural, or religious backgrounds of different literary periods. Demonstrating knowledge from the growth of characteristic styles of expression will educate people during different historical periods. I will also inform my dad on what I learned since he strongly influenced me to take the class about my heritage. He wanted me to learn where I came from, and now I'm proud to say that I can give him a detailed report about who I am. Since I have taken the course, I now look at the world in a different perspective. I now pay attention to the lyrics of music, commercial ads, and the way Black people are treated and spoken to. Black people do not receive enough credit for the roads they have paved throughout history. Our culture is constantly being criticized negatively, but when another culture steals from us, they are praised for it, such as our variety of dances, hairstyles, and music. A lot of stuff in the media that was originated from the African Americans are now being credited for by whites. That's why it's important to know your history and where you came from. Knowledge is a very powerful tool, and I advise everyone to take advantage of it. The class was challenging, but informative. I would like to inform one person at a time in hopes of them passing on the knowledge.